All right, ladies, welcome to Renna's Corner Conversations. I'm super excited to have you both on. I have Melissa and Tessa from the Sensory Village. So if you're local, you definitely know about the Sensory Village because they've been doing an amazing job at just sharing all things their facility, which is super fun, but they also do a lot of stuff that's been beneficial for families like mine, kids like Renna, the parents, and I'll let you guys explain a little bit more about what you do above and beyond just having this sensory play place for kids like ours. But Renna had her birthday there. She had a field trip there. We did another event for Renna there. So I'm super excited to have you guys. And I was just sharing with them that this is like real and raw. And we're not currently making any edits or anything. So they just had a family
Yeah.
say hi or bye, so it
Yeah,
might happen. We might have interruptions, and that's totally fine because that's life. And
true
I'm pretty
story.
sure anybody that's watching this or listening to this is like, yeah, I've become super flexible and I just, pivot all the time. So, all right, ladies, I would love to hear more about Sensory Village, how it came to be, and your vision moving forward. So take it away.
Right, how about it? So, basically, Melissa and I have been teachers in a variety of capacities for over 20 years each. And we then were colleagues and coworkers. So we have seen the benefit of sensory play with the students that we've worked with and wanted to bring it to the masses in a larger way. We also wanted to offer services for families to really be that village of support, to help them with whatever they need, whether it is sensory play, whether it's more how do we navigate the school system, whether it's my child's having feeding issues or having support groups for families with neurodivergent kiddos. We really try to be this one-stop shop for families to support them in any way necessary. But at the heart of our business is sensory play, because it does allow children, neurotypical and neurodivergent, to hit those developmental milestones, whether it be social skills, regulation, gross and fine motor. There's just so much benefit that sensory play can bring to everyone. I don't know if I missed anything.
No, what she said.
Can you give some examples? Because obviously we've been there, but somebody who hasn't been there is like, what does that mean? And I know that there's currently kids playing, and we won't go into the play space right or the sensory space right now. But if you could explain a little bit more about maybe like the different, I don't know, stations, rooms, and maybe the purpose behind each one.
Sure. So basically, we have different areas that are set up based off of the level of input and what kiddos are kind of getting out of it. So we have our houses, hence the village made of houses. Every house is full of a different type of sensory material or play item. We have some houses that are more of like the fully immersive, like totally rice covered, like you can bury yourself in rice. Bird seed, flower petals. And then we kind of get to more of like the harder for concrete where the kids are really manipulating more with their hands. Like we have a building room with like Remy blocks so they can build buildings, they can make a crash pad. So kiddos that are really looking for like the jumping, falling, all that, and then like a kitchen area. So for our more dramatic play friends who really just like the soft and squishies in their hands, they can be doing and building and pretending that way. We then have a
Keep
water room.
sharing. I'll be right back. My dog got into something, but keep sharing.
No, I'm gonna keep talking. That's never a good thing. What kind of sensory material has the dog gotten into? And then for everybody else listening, so we do have a water area. So for all of the kiddos that like the water tables, the splash pads, all different heights of tables. So we have, for the little bitties all the way up through adults. Um, different materials in the water room. We have a STEM area, so for our builders and thinkers. Big, basically ginormous wall full of magnets. We have a Lego wall, we have a gear wall. And then really for our movers and groovers, we have like the big movement, high ticket items like a ball pit, slide, sensory swings, vibration plates, an airplane teeter-totter at the moment. And then the fun thing for us, especially for Tessa, is the shopping of all items that we rotate everything out with every season. So what you see now will not be here come June, that we're going to switch everything out. So it'll be all new materials to kind of keep it fresh and then seasonally, go with what kids are interested with.
Yeah,
We
and
really
I
try
actually
to
love that part that it
Oh
switches
yeah.
out. Yeah, I was excited to see what would be there next. Go ahead, Tessa.
Mhm.
We really try to do our research because kids, I call it their sensory love language, have a different sensory love language. So some kids need that sharper impact, deeper pressure. Other kids like a softer input or don't like to immerse themselves in the material and like to more use their hands rather than their feet. So we really try to hit all of the different modalities in the materials that we're bringing to our space each time so that there is something for everyone. And it's awesome to see what the kids gravitate towards because even kids in the same family,
Yep.
one will love the rice, one will hate it and want to stay in the kitchen, or one will like the water. Other kids don't like the feeling in their clothes when they're wet and would prefer to be in the ball pit. So we love watching everybody explore and figure out what they love the most.
Hmm.
And I think a good jumping off point to that is also if you do have multiple kiddos, it is a very conducive space that you can supervise everyone at the same time. We have gotten that feedback a lot, especially for families with a large range in the age bracket that, there are some places where like they have a toddler area, then they have a tween area that so like your kids are basically separated that you can't really watch everybody at the same time. This is a very like you can basically be in one spot and see everybody. So it definitely helps with that dynamic for sure. As one who has
Yeah.
4 children, very important. Very important.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but I know a lot of places have an age range. There's one that we loved when Renna was younger, and she could probably still go because she's smaller. She probably at a developmental stage is younger than 5, but there is that cutoff. Do you have age parameters or suggestions or anything like that?
We actually don't. And the way that our space is designed, every room, like the houses have 3 walls and 2 little knee walls in the front. So they can all be separate. The only thing we do monitor more is the gross motor area for our older friends. They can get a little bit rowdy, but we have been able to easily redirect those friends so that everybody can play together. So we've had babies up through teenagers in the space at one time, and everybody gets along. The older kids model for the younger kids. They actually play together and work together. So some unique relationships have been built. So we love that our space is for all ages and ability levels.
Hmm. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about some of the special events that you've done? Um, I haven't been able to attend any of them, but I have shared them in Rena's Corner because I feel like it's so valuable. Some of the guests that you have, some of the even the mom things that you're doing. So if you can share however many you want and maybe how you've seen it benefit some of the families.
Sure. I mean, right now we have some events that we're actually starting next week that will just kind of be a reoccurring during play that we've gotten a lot of feedback that it really helps to engage the kiddos and a little bit just something different. So we have on Mondays at 10 o'clock, it's Miss Rachel of Lehigh Valley is here. She does like a sensory hour. And she's great. I mean, she is literally Miss Rachel in Lehigh Valley form. Like she's bubbly and she's bilingual, which is wonderful for our bilingual friends, or doing bubbles and activities and stories and songs, and absolutely wonderful. And then we have Tuesdays and Wednesdays are our therapy dogs. So we have from 11 to 12, we have our furry four-pawed friends that come in. So you can play, pet, sit, literally be with the dog the whole time if you'd like to. They're, all very well behaved and trained and certified. So it's a very cool experience that some kids that are parents are like they are afraid of dogs, and they come in and like they're best friends by the time they leave. So it's very cool to see.
Yeah.
And then on Thursdays, Miss Tessa over here is hosting a glow party, which is going to be phenomenal. From I know it's very cool. From 10 to noon. So it'll be a little vibe, not as relaxed. We're going to have some different music playing than our normal calming, soothing, and obviously everything glowing. So we're very excited about that. We do also host kind of a variety of, special events where groups can basically reserve the space for themselves. So as you said with Renna's party, any group that comes in at like birthday party, you basically get the entire space to yourself. So, waiting room, play space, classroom for like presents, food, everything is yours. So there's no more other play sessions, which is nice to kind of have your own little area. And then we do have play groups that happen, that different organizations can sponsor play groups and just have, a benefit for their families. So we've had that with a few different agencies coming in. And then as Tessa said, with our support groups. So normally every Thursday evening, that's our late night that we're open until 8 in the evening for play. But we do also offer support groups that rotate based off of, different things that families have kind of said they needed some assistance with. And the cool piece about it is that, the parents are filling their bucket and meeting with the professionals in the classroom, and then we are watching the kids in the play space. So everybody's under the same roof. The children are supervised and safe in an environment that's very conducive for them. And then the parents are next door getting all the information and not having to, pay for a babysitter, have grandma and grandpa watch who it might be more overwhelming, or try and figure out, worry about their kiddos the whole time, which, because we do have some kiddos that are more involved than others, and it's always in the back of your mind. So it helps to really not have to worry about that. We're trying very hard to remove as many barriers as possible to access things for families, and we have some things in the works that we're not quite there yet, but we're doing our very best to make it as accessible as possible to everybody. So
Yeah, no, I
yeah, Miss.
saw that and I was like, that's amazing because, yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard to go anywhere because I
yeah,
don't have like a babysitter that I can say that to, family
yeah.
is 45 minutes away. So sometimes it's hard to do things and I prefer in person. So I won't really, I did one support group online and I was like, yep, not for me. It's just not my thing. And it kind of depends too, like how it is run.
Mm.
But I definitely prefer in person, but that is always a struggle. Like, well, Renna would have to come with me. And Renna is very disruptive because she loves everyone. So she wants to like be involved with the people and like the parents or the presenter or whoever is kind of like running that. And she would just disrupt everything. I actually have a Renna's Corner conversation coming up next week during spring break. And we have it when Renna's awake on purpose, but we'll see how it goes. This will be the first time Renna's ever been on Renna's Corner conversation,
Kind of
but
amazing.
we'll see. But yeah, that is a huge thing because usually for families like mine, it is harder to find somebody who's able to, I don't know the right word, but support them in the ways that they need. And I know for me, Renna is quite hands-on and she is a lot to handle. And so, you know, to have
Well,
my
we're
parents come.
hopeful that because of our background as special ed teachers, it makes parents feel comfortable. And also the fact that they're on the premises. And even for our support group of neurodivergent families, which I just learned today, Brenda, Colleen Mest, who runs that group.
Yeah. Yeah.
My very good friend.
Small
Yeah.
world.
So she was telling me that she knew you, and that was a neat little side, but it's
Hmm.
wonderful to have the families be right there in case they're needed. And the first group we ever ran, the parents were waiting for their
Yeah.
kids to come or us to come and say there was some sort of emergency. And they came out and they were like, "Where's the fire?
Yeah,
There's
like
no fire." And we were like, no, it was great. They were all wonderful and they had the best time. So it's kind of like a combination of our environment helps children play purposefully and maintain regulation. And also, we know the strategies to employ when kids become dysregulated or can see them ramping up to that and can prevent a full, dysregulation event. So it's been really rewarding for us. And we
Yes.
also hope very supportive for the families that we're trying to serve.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of deep breaths we found of like just that release of like, like I can do this, or like they can play and, engage and do things. And for any family, I always say, like, come for a play session. Like, if you're like, oh, I want to do a support group, but I'm like super, super nervous, come and just have them play for an hour. And then you can like see how they're going to act. It's also then not an unfamiliar space for you or for them, which that
Yeah.
does help with, familiarity and transitions. And we have a pretty cool waiting room too. That
You
for
do.
our friends that do come that aren't quite ready to jump in, it definitely is a nice transitional area with like a busy board and books. And we found the busy board is very motivating when it is time to leave because that tends to be a harder part of the day
Yeah.
with leaving the space. And
Yeah.
we're
Mhm.
not leaving, we're just going to play with the busy board that is two steps closer to the door.
Right.
So we're slowly getting there.
Yeah, and I can totally relate to what you were saying about parents being kind of like on edge and anxious about like what's going on? Am I going to be called? There's always an issue. This is why I don't do this or go here or whatever. And I've heard a lot of that. Renna's been going with me to church basically since we were able to go because she was born right before everything shut down with COVID. But I don't know, she was under 6 months, and so she's always been in our church. So she's kind of like grown up in it as they were creating this specialized needs ministry, and now they have that she can be a part of that. But I've heard so many families say I stopped going to church, or
Mhm.
I stopped doing this. I don't know how my child would act. I'm nervous about the support or lack of support or knowledge on what to do when my child is overstimulated or this or that. And I feel like in general, I've seen a lot of more focus on that sort of thing because, yeah, that's a real thing where we don't want to participate in things because we don't know how our child will do. And maybe I spent, I don't know, I'm just gonna make up something. Maybe I went to the Lehigh Valley Zoo and spent $80 for my whole family, and my child has a meltdown because it's too crowded.
Mhm.
Like, oh my word, or there has been these parents' night outs at local places. And I'm like, oh, that would be great if Renna could go, but she needs a one-to-one. Like
Mhm.
that's not gonna happen. Or we provide pizza and we do this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, at the birthday party at the Sensory Village, she got a slice of pizza and she ate all the cheese and there's pizza all over the place and her whole dress was full of tomato sauce, right? Like she needs additional support. And there's so many times where I'm like, oh, that'd be so much fun, but we can't do it because there's not support. Or I don't know how she's gonna do, and I really don't want to like spend $100 for her to not be able to participate in the thing or whatever. So I do like that your place is like a safe place and you're super knowledgeable. And if I want to do the parent group, I know Renna is safe. I know Renna is being watched and cared for, and it's not just kind of like a babysitting thing. Like she's actually learning and probably progressing in different things because the more she has exposure to a lot of these things, the better she's able to do a lot of these things. So I really love that. And when I think I met, yeah, I definitely met Melissa because I just like stopped in. I was like, hey,
Yep. You're
but
like, okay, tell me all the things.
yeah, right. But I remember you saying about your background and Tessa's background, and I just thought, wow, that is amazing. That makes me want to come here even more. So I'm sure I'm talking from the same sort of like experience that a lot of parents have had, and it it's just reassuring, to know that there are places that are safer and we can just trust that our children are okay. And if there's not, and there's something that happens, we're right there. You're right there. Like.
When I will say, like, even the experience that families have had when visiting for open play, you can see the um, worry and anxiety over how is this going to go. We always,
Mhm.
the first question we
Yeah.
ask is, how long do you want to play? And almost always the answer is, I don't think my child can make it the hour, so
Hmm.
we can only do the hour. And then their child doesn't want to leave, and they're like, they never were able to play this long. They never were able to enjoy a space like this. And you
Yeah.
can see the parent's whole demeanor relax. It's like their whole body takes a deep breath. So the kid is regulated, the parent is regulated. They're
Yes.
both making connections together in a meaningful way. And it's so amazing for Melissa and I to watch that unfold. And oftentimes those families leave and are like, I need a membership. My kid is
Hmm.
asking to come here every day. This, they call it the rights place, or, our nonverbal kids will point to the picture of our logo or get families phones and scroll and open to the sensory village. So all of that is just so meaningful to Melissa and I because that's what we're here to do. We are here to create a safe space for all families, all children of all
Hmm.
ages and abilities, backgrounds, cultural differences. We really want to be a safe space for everyone. And if we can accomplish that, like that means more to us than anything.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think a big component is it really is a judgment-free zone. And like you had said, there's such a stigma of like, you take your kid out in public and it's like they have that meltdown because they want that thing. And here it's like we want them to experience all the things. And parents like, oh my gosh, they dumped rice on the floor. I'm like, and did they have a good time doing it? Because it's kind of what it's there for. Like, and it's, we want them to make messes. We want them to explore. And again, it's a safe environment where like I have families and they're like, your water room is very wet. I'm like, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
like
Yeah.
the floor, I'm like, it's a splash pad and they're having a really good time. So
Yeah.
let them have it. We'll mop it later. It's not a big deal. But like,
Hmm.
it's that they have the freedom to explore. And parents that normally are very like, I'm so sorry, like they're apologizing all the time. And I'm like, why are you apologizing? Like, that's them expressing themselves. That's them learning. Like, they need to do it. And this is the space to do it in, which is again that breath of relief that they're like, oh, you're not judging me, and like I'm in the space where like I don't have to worry about them laying on the floor and crying. We're like, okay, we'll work through it, like it'll be fine. Well, maybe we try some strategies, maybe we let them be, but they'll be fine. It's we'll get there.
And
Yeah.
So
we love supporting families through
yes.
challenges if they arise.
Hmm.
We, I think, are able to read whether someone's open to that feedback. If they are, we can offer different strategies. If not, we're still not judging and we're treating that family and child the same way as if they're not screaming.
Yeah.
And truthfully, come on, we've all been there. We've all been in public when our
Yes.
kid has a meltdown, when they're spilling something, when they're acting a fool, when we lose our own minds and react out of our own values. Like we've all been there. So we are not judging one bit. We are here for support. That's it. And we really, really do care.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made me think of something. So, in kind of like the beginning of Renna's diagnosis, she was diagnosed at 2.5 with Pitt Hopkins syndrome, which is a genetic disorder. And I would take her out and it might have been before that, but I would take her out to places and I'd always be so anxious because she doesn't speak with words. So she'd be screaming or she'd be crawling because she couldn't walk yet. And I would be so just I remember like sweating all the time because I'd be trying to control her and worried about what everyone was thinking. But you know what? I just kept getting in those uncomfortable situations over and over and
Mhm.
over. And for the most part, there's probably just a few that were thinking something negative. And what really helped me kind of get out of that is I ended up talking to a lot of parents who, well, maybe at the splash pad, not yours, but at our local like outdoor splash pad in the
Yeah.
summer, I would let Renna use her gait trainer and walk around, and she might grab onto somebody and I'd be like, oh, Renna, Renna. But then after a while, it's like, you know what? She has a right to be here too. And other parents, I would kind of let her, like I said, she's super social. So I'd let her walk around the outside and she'd go up to all the parents and she'd try to steal their food and like do all this stuff. And pretty much every time, that parent that I thought we were bothering had something positive to say. And so I think it really holds us back from experiencing things because we get so worried about what everyone's thinking, how they're judging us. And I've found from talking to people, it's usually, wow, you're doing such a great job. She's the cutest thing ever. And I bet you anything. I don't know that anyone has said this, but I bet parents are like, this is a great opportunity for my child to learn about differences by interacting with this child that is clearly different. She was in a, like a walker in the splash pad, she has a device that I help her communicate with. And I think having a place where they can start, like the sensory village, to come, feel anxious, feel nervous about being judged, and realize, like, okay, that was okay and continue to like put themselves in these uncomfortable situations. And yes, sometimes somebody will say, like they did to me and Rana, what's wrong with her? Somebody will apologize. What are you apologizing for? My child is amazing. Why are you apologizing? And I've heard stories. So sometimes, yes, that will happen. But the majority of the time, it doesn't. And I know for me, Rena has brought so much joy to almost every single person she's interacted with that I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? There are way more things for me to put my energy and focus in on than worrying about what others are thinking or that they might say something negative. And honestly, when they do, I don't respond in a negative way. Some people do, but I personally don't. But I think that's great that there's that place where families can kind of go, feel that anxiety and realize after it was okay, and then continue to just live. And and sometimes, yes, the anxiety might be more than you can manage with just putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, realizing everything was okay, you might need more than just those experiences over and over again. But I definitely learned that that has helped me in so many different ways. So I just want to share that because of what you said about they're like, and then you just see, okay, I can
Mhm.
breathe and I can actually engage and learn. So I just want to share that. We are coming down to our last 5-ish minutes. So I wanted to see if there was anything else that you ladies wanted to share. If there was anything, like we'll share whatever sort of links or information you'd like to share as well. So you can just send me a direct message with those things. So we will definitely have like your Instagram and your website and things like that. But Tessa, if there's anything else that you want to share that you think we didn't cover,
I mean, I think we covered a lot. If you'd like us to, there isn't anybody in the play space right now. I am on a laptop, but I can walk you around the space.
yes, let's do
Okay.
that. Melissa, we're gonna take a tour, and if
I
we
don't know
do,
how to turn it around though.
yeah, you're gonna have to be like,
Well, be
I
careful,
don't,
it
I
might
don't know
die.
either. So
Well,
maybe
it's not
just
plugged
like
in.
walk
Okay.
it in front of you. But yeah, if we get cut off, we're gonna say thanks for coming,
So
and
this is our waiting room.
someone waiting.
Yeah.
Hi.
We have a scavenger hunt and a busy board there. And then,
You do that.
okay, I'm trying to open our childproof door.
You're doing
And
great.
then this is our play space with our houses. So that is rice. Hopefully, I'm not making everybody dizzy.
You're good.
And this is our flower petals. We can build our own garden there too. Here is birdseed. So you can see birdseed and rice are fully immersive. And then there's our kitchen, which right now we have a variety of sensory pastas.
Mhm.
And then here is our building area slash crash pad.
Yeah, that one was fun.
And then it's going to get loud because here's our water room. And
Renna
we
loves
do
it.
have a waterfall, and there's different levels and heights of the tables, but it's all four walls. And then walking out, this is our STEM area where we have a light table, Lego board, magnet wall, pegboard. And then finally, we have our gross motor equipment area, our ball pit, our sensory hideaway for friends who need breaks, and then our swings. And there's our airplane, which Brenda, I don't know that you've seen that yet.
It was there, and
It
all
was?
the
Okay.
kids were on it, and they were kind of fighting over the seats because they all
Okay.
wanted to be on it. But that was awesome. I wanted to be on it
Okay.
too, but
So there was a little tour. Sorry if I made everybody dizzy.
no, that's perfect. And then in the back was the party room, or is that where you hold those like support groups then too, in that little like party room where her cake and pizza was?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Okay. Well, awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining me on Renna's Corner Conversations. I will definitely be sure to share. Feel free to share anything once I share it with you as well. But yeah, we love the Sensory Village. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks for having us, Brenda, and we love you and Renna.
Oh, thanks.
We're
All right.
excited to have you as part of our village now, too.
Thanks. All right.
Yep.
I will see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks.